We're here at the International Energy Forum's 13th ministerial meeting, and joining me now is the Executive Director of the International Energy Agency, Maria van der Hoeven. Thank you so much for taking the time. Now, of course, the International Energy Agency is a huge contributor to this forum. Tell me how important this forum is, that it's happening this year, that it's happening now at a time of perhaps great uncertainty, and just your review of the two-day meeting.
Well, it is very important because when we are talking about a consumer-producer dialogue, it's the IEF, the International Energy Forum, that's really the place to be. And I think the added value, it can't be underestimated. It's a place to meet. It's a place where you can make new proposals for the future in the energy dialogue. But it's also a place to have your bilaterals, and this I think is very valuable as well.
And we heard that from a lot of the ministers, the organizations, even the companies are here. And I think bringing all of those people together at once every 2 years is valuable. It's not often you get everyone together, really.
No, it's true to bring them together and also to bring the industry in, because when you have the industry involved and there is the dialogue between the ministers on the one hand and industry on the other hand, it really adds something extra to a meeting like this. And I think the Business Council has been evolving in the past few years. Well, it's not so long ago that we started, just 21 years ago. And I'm very happy that I have been here for more than once in a different capacity as a minister and now as a director of IEA.
And we're indeed happy you're here, but you've also been very busy today too. You've put out your monthly oil market report, the March monthly oil market report. Tell us just some of the highlights of that report right now.
Well, one of the highlights is that, of course, there are some problems with supply. Let's not deny it. It has to do with geopolitical tensions. We can see them everywhere. And, of course, it has to do with unplanned outages in non-OPEC countries, like Sudan, like the North Sea, like Canada, like Yemen, to mention just a few. And this adds to about 750,000 barrels a day. So that's a lot to lose. On the other hand, we can see that during the past month, the OPEC countries, especially here in the Gulf, has been raising their supply on the market. So that's actually a favorable sign. But of course, there is always the question of spare capacity. Well, given the fact that there is so much demand for oil, there still is a lot of demand for oil, spare capacity is not very big. So I think this is something that worries producer and consumer countries the same.
And you're also somewhat concerned about the fact that the stocks are actually quite low.
Well, it's when you were talking about the industrial stocks in the OECD countries, and that's what of course our oil market report is about. There are about 58 days, 57.5 days, and they are quite low, and it's already for a couple of months, and they actually are below the 5 years average. But of course, we do not know what is happening to the stocks in other countries, not being member of OECD, not being member of IEA.
How are the figures from the JODI, the Joint Organization Data Initiative, how are they helping you?
Well, I think they are very important because they add to transparency, and they also bring figures and data from other non-IEA countries and non-OPEC countries, for instance. And I really do hope that we can improve the data. At this moment, 70 countries are really doing quite well. 90 countries have some problems, so they deliver their facts and figures, but they are after 2 months. And we need to speed up the JODI, the Joint Organizations Data Initiatives in oil and on gas, because we need these facts and figures. Everybody needs them. The policymakers need them for policy making, and investors, industry need them for investments.
Now, I suppose one bit of good news was that you've left demand growth for next year unchanged at the moment, so some sense of stability coming into the market. Yes,
well, we started with 1 million barrels a day, but of course economic development, the driver for growth and demand, is rather decreasing at this moment. But 800,000 barrels a day extra for this year, that's still there.
Now, of course, as you carry on with the work throughout the year, there's still some big challenges out there. And just an overall, in the short term, what are you looking at ahead to the year, and indeed perhaps just a very quick look longer term?
Well, of course, what we are now looking at, that is what will happen in July, for instance, when the effects will be visible of the sanctions on Iran. That will be very important. We are monitoring and assessing the situation. And well, for the rest of the year, we are working on something very different. It's how to cooperate with other countries outside the IEA, how to bring them more towards the IEA. And these are the emerging countries, and they are the countries who will be where the growth in energy demand will be the most pregnant, the most visible in the next years to come.